You know, when you have a two-parter with a heck of a mysterious premise and you wonder, how did our heroes get into this mess? You kind of expect the second part to explain that mystery in a satisfying way.
And you thought this finale did it in a satisfying way? Well, so yeah, we didn't get an answer as to how the Doctor and Belinda got caught in Conrad's wish world.
Despite the fact that they couldn't get back to Earth at that time and were somewhere else in space and time.
Totally glossed over. In fact, it's never even mentioned.
Kinda like that the Doctor hinted that there might be a connection between Belinda and that soldier he met in Boom, since they were played by the same person. Except there was no connection, so why even bring it up then?
And in this finale, there's so much going on, and yet it also feels like not much really happened.
Well, there were a heck of a lot of returning characters.
So many.
But no Susan.
Yeah, why was that? She's been teased since the start of this run and even appeared a couple of episodes back, and I was certain she would be pivotal for the finale.
You're not good at making predictions.
Apparently not. Instead, it felt like everyone else came back and had some kind of a role to play in this jam-packed story.
But if so much happened, why did it feel so slow? Why did it feel like it dragged so much?
Because the big bad was literally defeated halfway through the episode, and then we're left with half an hour to fill.
But so much didn't make sense during that first half. Like, how did the Doctor change his outfit once he came down the stairs?
Magic.
How did Anita, the hotel manager, find him in just the nick of time?
Magic?
Anita ex machina. Okay, well, how did Susan Twist build that reality-defying chamber in minutes?
Magic.
How did nothing make sense?
Magic. Just expect that whatever a main character wished for would happen. Somehow.
Well, even though the only way to get a wish is by kissing the baby's forehead?
Even though that.
And how did Ruby even know how to do that anyway?
Must have been common knowledge. Listen, if you stop to think about it, it makes no sense.
Like how in the previous episode, the Rani explained that she chose Conrad to be the storyteller because his world was imperfect and she needed people to realize that so reality could fracture. But in this one, she bemoaned that Conrad's world wasn't good enough and she had to make do because the wish granter was still a baby.
That's the kind of storytelling we're here to enjoy.
But even that didn't make any sense. She went back in time to get him. She's a Time Lord. So why not raise him for 15 to 20 years off screen and come back with a fully grown wish granter? She has the means and definitely the time.
So Conrad could come back?
That feels so weak. Exactly like Rani 2's fate.
It was pretty quick.
It was so obvious what was going to happen. I mean, Bone Omega made it clear what he was about to do, and she just stood there.
Well, at least we still have Mrs. Flood.
As if that's much of a comfort. She was neutered, turning into nothing more than a servant. I thought there might be an arc for her where she'd rebel against Rani 2 or something, but no. She was weak and differential, and then ran away. She lost all power, which makes no sense. Again, during Tennant's Spy generation, it was clear both him and Ncuti were equals. Why neuter Mrs. Flood like that?
Does it have to make sense to be entertaining?
No, it doesn't. Nothing made sense with the Toymaker, but his story held together much better. Hey, actually, why did the Wish Baby make that little giggle sound in the previous episode and that led to absolutely nothing?
Because magic? Or a red herring? Like I said, and we agree on this, it didn't make sense.
I must admit, I was looking forward to meeting Omega, except what we saw didn't feel like Omega, just another CGI monster. And then the story segues to be about Poppy. It became all about Poppy.
The reveal about the fate of the Time Lords was heartbreaking.
Okay, that revelation is the thing that gave some kind of a reasonable explanation for the bi-generation, I have to admit.
And I do get the lengths the Doctor was prepared to go to save that one particular child. And all this time, I thought she was connected to his granddaughter Susan, somehow.
Except Susan never appeared.
Yeah, we've established that.
And it was way slower than it should have been. The first half was frantic and all, but frankly, they could have tightened the edit for the second half and easily shaved off 10 minutes at least.
I think the best part was when Ruby became the only one who still remembered Poppy when they were in the TARDIS.
Yeah, I agree, that part was good, but otherwise, there really wasn't enough of the Rani and Omega, and the ending just dragged on and on and on until they retconned the entire season by making Poppy Belinda's kid with no hint of Time Lord DNA.
I didn't mind that. It was very bittersweet, with time changing to accommodate this new person. The Doctor sacrificed himself to save a child, even though it turned out not to be his, and he's okay with that. It's what the Doctor does.
And then he regenerates into Rose?
I'll tell you one thing. They did a fantastic job keeping that on their wraps.
But what the hell was that? I mean, come on. Do we have to go back to the well each and every time? It's like Doctor Who is now merely nostalgia bait. They brought Tennant back without ever explaining how or why, and now they're bringing back Piper as a Time Lord? Okay, full marks for the shock value, but nul point to push the franchise forward.
You know, in that respect, I respected Chibnall's attempt to steer the show in a fresh new direction, with none of the traditional foes we've come to expect from the franchise, at least for his first season.
Sound idea, I'll grant you that. Shame his stories were so crap.
These were our thoughts on Doctor Who's The Reality War. Do let us know what you think in the comments, and if you like what we do,
and how we do it,
and you feel you'd like to help us out,
please consider joining our Patreon.
As long as you can afford it, of course.
We'll leave a link in the description and pinned comment.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.